that was an incredible Overwatch Spotlight. If you have not watched the Overwatch Spotlight, please, in the description, I will link to it. I will put it in the cards. There was also an animated short that was in it, but if you watch the Spotlight, you'll see it. But if you want to watch it again, I'll also link to that in the description. Please watch the Spotlight if you haven't already. There's a lot of really, really awesome stuff. Already, you're seeing some of the spoilers for it on here if you look. But I think you should watch it so that you can enjoy everything as it kind of gets revealed. Then come back here. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on it. We're going to go through it real quick. This article that was posted on the Overwatch website. I'm going to use this just as a kind of guiding light to talk about everything from this Spotlight, because it was incredible. It was really, really good. So, as you can see here, Overwatch Spotlight. The reign of Talon begins. The reign of Talon has officially begun. For the first time in Overwatch history, we're telling a multifaceted, fully connected story across the entire year. You'll experience a narrative arc with a set beginning, middle, and end, beginning with an all-new Season 1 through Season 6, before a new Season 1 launches in 2027. I'm sure I'll talk more about this a little bit later, as you can kind of see here, but I love this. I really, really, really love this. I think this is a really good thing. I'm not that surprised. One of my predictions going into this was that we were going to get like a soft relaunch of the game, which we did. We're getting a new Season 1. We're getting the removal of the Overwatch 2 moniker and going just to the regular Overwatch moniker. And I'm very, very, very excited for a narrative thing. You know, obviously I was in the minority of people who really liked the story missions, and the story of Overwatch I think is really interesting. But I do think this is probably the better way to do it, is through different mediums and modes, that if you really are invested in the story, you can get a lot of really interesting story content, and it's very easy to access. And if you just want to play the game, you can play the game. And I think that's probably the best way to do it. But then as they say here, to tell this first story, we are releasing 10 heroes over the course of the year, with the first 5 joining the fight when Season 1 launches on February 10th. So we'll have 5 new heroes in 6 days. 6 days! And each of these new heroes will directly tie in to the story for the year. We'll see if they get to some of the stuff later. Obviously, I haven't read through this article yet, so I'll try to save some of my thoughts for when we get a little bit further into the article. But as I say here, Overwatch's fight against Talon will evolve in real time as players watch the world shift around them through updated maps, new art, and more. This arc starts with a new cinematic, which, like I said, was at the very beginning of the showcase, and I'll link to it in the description if you want to see it, and unfolds through motion comics, in-game events, new voice lines, animated hero trailers, and short stories. So my guess is we'll get all 5 hero trailers, maybe not right away for the new heroes, maybe throughout the course of the season we'll get them, but we'll see, because we're getting another one in Season 2, so we're going to have to get 6 between now and the end of Season 1. Short stories. We aim to bring major updates every year that improve and expand the experience of playing Overwatch, with both gameplay and story arcs driving the universe forward. Whether you're a longtime Overwatch competitor, a first-timer in this fight for a better future, or returning after a break, here's everything you need to know about the Reign of Talon. Luckily, we can skip all this stuff, and you guys know all this. If you guys don't know all this, you can read it. So, here we go. 5 new heroes launching in Season 1. Season 1 introduces the first 5 new heroes of the year: Domina, Emre, Mizuki, Onron, and Jetpack Cat. I'm amazed that they're just naming it Jetpack Cat. There's no like hero name. It's just Jetpack Cat, which I think is really funny. Anyway, each hero will play a key role in the narrative as the Reign of Terror unfolds. The fact that a cat plays a key role in the Reign of Talon is really funny. And as the story kicks off, Vendetta is strengthening her forces with 3 new allies. We have Domina, who is a tank. She's the heiress and vice president of Vishkar Industries. Though she is not a formal member of Talon, a partnership with Vendetta has granted Vishkar Industries lucrative redevelopment rights for territories under Talon control. And using advanced Vishkar technology, Domina is the first true poke tank since Sigma, an elegant long-range controller with deadly zone dominance. They have her abilities listed here. You guys can see. I'm going to just have the gameplay so you can see the way she plays just from the Spotlight. Really interesting looking hero. I really like her kit, the way it looks. The interesting things about like her shield, her barrier having like multiple parts that can kind of break, I think is really, really cool. I think, obviously we got our first look at her recently with the short story that was released. I don't know, was that Monday that they released that? We got our first look at Domina, the first tease of Domina. She's really interesting. I like her kit a lot. I like the way she looks. Obviously, there's some similarities between her and Symmetra, which makes sense. They're obviously both Vishkar representatives. And I'm very excited to get to actually play her in-game. I think she looks really fun and really interesting. And I am very excited to see what she plays like in-game when I actually get my hands on her. I like her design a lot. I think she looks really, really cool. So, very much happy about what we got with Domina. We, of course, have Emery, who, of course, we have known for years. And as I say here, Emery is a former member of the Overwatch Strike Team. He once stood as an example of Overwatch's ideals, but as Overwatch lost sight of its mission, Emery chose to leave. Freya tracked him down and discovered that his body has been altered with cybernetic modifications. His mind appears to be in conflict. Sometimes he behaves like the person he once was, and other times he seems detached. Now aligned with Vendetta, Emery brings a fast-paced, run-and-gun damage style. He looks very interesting. I think he feels very similar to Soldier 76. There's obviously differences in the way that he plays, but he kind of feels, in more ways than one, like a Soldier replacement in certain comps. I think they're trying now with hero bans being in the game and the roster expanding. I think they're trying to find ways to work heroes into similar, niches as other ones. Try to make, someone who, if you play Soldier and someone bans Soldier, you can go Emery. And you can get kind of the same effect. It's going to be a little bit different, but like overall there is kind of a similarity there. A lot of people thought that was a big thing with Juno when she was added, that she adds that other support that can have speed boost. So I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think that's kind of where Emery is, especially when now we're getting 5 heroes. There's going to be some overlap, which is interesting. I think that's pretty cool. Next, the first support we have here is Mizuki. Mizuki is a member of the Hashimoto clan, which is aligned with Talon. He has endured years of misfortune and pressure within the clan's hierarchy. Some believe he may not be suited for the life he has been raised into, but through dedication and influence from senior clan members, he has become a key player. Mizuki has been tasked with infiltrating the yokai near Kanazaka, but there is concern that he may be influenced by them or potentially drawn to Overwatch. Mizuki is the only hero that I can think of, I may be wrong, he may have been mentioned at some point in time, who we had no idea about before they were added to the game. No, the Hashimoto clan, of course, we know they've been around since... were the Hashimotos only added with Kiriko's story, or were they also a thing with with Genji and Hanzo? Because they weren't Hashimotos, are they? Am I drawing up? Maybe they were the Hashimotos. Are the Genji and Hanzo the Hashimotos? I don't remember, honestly. I truly am forgetting my lore. But Mizuki looks really cool. I think his kit looks cool. His bounce hat ability is really cool. His Katashiro return, which I didn't think that the way that they showed it in the Spotlight fully explained it in a way that made sense to me. The thing that really got it for me was I was watching Aspen stream, and it's you put it down and then you go in and then you can go back to it. So it's not like an ability where you leap ahead and then leap out. It's like old Sombra translocator, where you place it down somewhere and then you can go in and then you have to recall back to it. It's like that. But he looks interesting. Obviously, I love supports. I'm a support main. I don't play as much as I used to because I've been trying to get better at damage and tank. and because of that stupid challenge of like play 3 heroes not in your, or play 15 games heroes not in your top 3, and all 3 of my top 3 heroes are supports, because I got screwed. Anyway, I like Mizuki. Mizuki looks cool. I like getting more evil supports, and obviously an evil tank is very cool. Domina, I'm interested to see how they will be worked into the game, and I'm excited to kind of see how they play. Then, of course, we have 2 heroes joining the Overwatch team. The first one is Anran, who we have known about for a little while now. Anran, of course, is the older sister of Wu Yang, and she harnesses the power of fire when in the heat of battle. She is confident and hardworking, holding others to the standards she maintains for herself. Anran joins Overwatch with the intent to save the world and keep Wu Yang out of trouble. She will be having a hero trial beginning tomorrow, February 5th. So if you're watching this video on February 5th, or 6th, or 7th, or 8th, or 9th, or 10th, and the new season hasn't started yet, you can play Anran this weekend, this long weekend. Anran looks very cool, looks very fun. Shout out to Fariha, the streamer, who is the in-game voice actress for Anran. She voiced her in the Wu Yang reveal trailer, and she is voicing her in game, which is really cool. And I'm very, 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 very happy to see a community member getting to be the voice of a character in game. It's very awesome. But I'm very excited to see Anran and the way she plays. I think I've wanted a fire-based hero for a very long time. Like, Mei obviously has been in the game since the very beginning, and she felt like a character that you saw her and you're like, oh, I want a hero that like has like a fire ability. And obviously we've had Burning with Ash's Dynamite and with Mauga. And I'm curious to see how the 3 of them pair together. Like, if all of those fire abilities stack, that's going to be a trio that's going to be crazy to deal with. Because like, Anran's lighting people on fire, then Mauga's getting the benefits of having people on fire when he's right-clicking. And Ash Dynamite, kind of the same thing. Now, Ash's Dynamite Ash doesn't have any abilities that like benefit from people being on fire. But if Ash sets people on fire, then Anran can get the benefits of that, I wonder. She also is the first hero with 2 ultimates, which is interesting. She has one where she kind of charges forward and explodes and it ignites enemies. She also has like a Phoenix one where when she's dead, she can revive herself. Now, they said it's when she dies first. I don't know if they mean like first as a part of the team, like you have to die to use it, or if they meant like if you're the first person on your team to die, you can use the ability, or if they're saying like if you die and you want to continue the fight, like you should probably use it. If I had to guess, if I'm being so for real, I think at the highest level of play, that's going to be the only ultimate people use. I think it's way too valuable to have a get out of jail free card, especially if you go for like a flank, because she's a flanker, and we'll talk more about that later, I'm sure. And so to me, that feels like a really good ultimate to have when you're trying to flank and all that kind of stuff. So that's really, really fun. And then, of course, Jetpack Cat, the final hero here. As I say here, yep, Jetpack Cat is finally joining the lineup. She is a support. And as I say here, found as a stray Gibraltar, little is known about Jetpack Cat other than how dangerous she is in fights. With quick reflexes and a kit befitting a feline hero. What's very interesting, I think, about her is she has permanent flight. So unlike Pharah, which Pharah technically doesn't fly, she jumps. Unlike, say, like Mercy, who can fly, or Diva, who can fly, or Echo, who can fly, like theirs are tied to abilities and cooldowns. Jetpack Cat can just fly. Like, she can just permanently fly. Her jetpack is always on, and she just flies. She looks crazy. They said they had some oddballs coming to the game. They were not lying. We have a cat in a jetpack. What more could you ask for? Truly, what more could you want out of this game than a cat in a jetpack? She has the one ability where she can like grab people It increases their movement speed and heals their ally. But you can use that to, like, fly allies over gaps to, like, put an ally. Like, you could, like, for example, you could, like, grab a Reaper and then, like, drop them in the middle of a team fight. And they can just, like, there's, like, crazy things you're going to be able to do. There is an ability. I didn't talk about the abilities very, like, particularly with Mizuki, but Mizuki does have an ability, binding chain, launch a tethering chain that hinders the first enemy hit. So you can use that to kind of bring down airborne enemies. So definitely adding more means to keep the really strong airborne enemies from being, like, overly powerful, I think, which is a good thing to see. But it's it's crazy. It is crazy. We have a cat with a jetpack. So those are the 5 new heroes. There are 5 other heroes, of course, they teased. And we'll see more of those later on down the road. I mentioned before the flanker when I was talking about Onron. That's because the new there's now sub roles for each of the roles, and those sub roles have passives. Now, I think every hero now has 2 role passives. They have their main role passive, so the tanks all have a passive, damage heroes all have a passive, the support heroes all have a passive, and each of the sub roles have a passive. So you can see all of them here. I'm just going to show you them. If you want to read them more specifically, you can pause them. But you can see for tank, there is Bruiser, Initiator, and Stalwart. For damage, there is Sharpshooter, Flanker, Specialist, and Recon. And for support, there's Tactician, Medic, and Survivor. Tactician is interesting for support. You can gain excess ultimate charge, which carries over after using your ultimate ability. That is Lucio with excess ultimate charge. You can double beat. There might be a limit to how much carries over, but a lot of time with a Lucio, you beat and then you hold, or you get beat and then you hold on to the beat until you need the beat. So Lucios are going to be getting beats every fight. We're going to be seeing Lucios beating every fight. You Ajax, it doesn't matter because you have 50% ult or whatever. It probably won't carry that much over. Maybe at max we'll do like 25, maybe 15 would be my guess. It's probably the same amount that you get when you like swap heroes. But yeah, those are all the ones if you want to take a look at those. I think these are interesting. I think that's a good way to kind of break it down. I do wonder if they might move heroes around depending on how they perform. Like, take like the flankers, for example, for damage, right? You have Onron, Genji, Reaper, Tracer, Vendetta, Venture, right? It's heroes that have a lot of movement capability, that are, you're using them to kind of do very particular things, But then you have like specialists, for example, right? Eliminating an enemy briefly increases your reload speed. Well, Vendetta is a hero that doesn't have a reload, so you're not going to obviously want to put Vendetta in a place where the specialist sub-passive doesn't really do anything. Whereas, like, yeah, Bastion, Emre, Junkrat, Mei, Soldier, Symmetra, Torb, they all have ammo they need to reload. Like, Sim, getting your beam up and just getting the increased reload speed, crazy. Sharpshooter, critical hits reduce your movement ability cooldowns. But, like, if there's a hero that needs to move over, how do you do that? How do you figure that out? Do they try to keep them even in some capacity? Because if you look, there's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 specialists and 4 recon heroes. 6 flankers, 5 sharpshooters. So the numbers are not, like, super even. Could you move someone like a, soldier to recon or something like that? There's obviously different changes you can make, but I'm curious to see kind of how they do that. And I really like the idea of trying to kind of group heroes together again in a way that makes it easier if you're going into the game and you don't really know how a hero works, right? And now we're getting to a point where the hero roster is really big. And if you go into the game and you're like, I want to play damage, I want to play a hero that I know is going to do a lot of damage. Cool. You've narrowed that down already, right? And now you're like, how do I want to play? And this kind of gives you an idea of the heroes that kind of play similarly. not necessarily all the same. Like, I kind of think Symmetra could be a flanker. Because of the way that you use Teleporter. Like, I think Vendetta and Symmetra are not that different in terms of potential play style. So, like, you could put them in the same category, but doesn't make sense for Vendetta to be in the specialist role. But, like, you see Sharpshooter, you know, okay, I'm playing a hero that's about, like, sniping, long range, getting kills by, like, you know, high damage kind of potential hitting your shots. And you know if you're not a good aimer, you probably shouldn't play those heroes, right? So I like the fact that they're kind of grouping heroes together in a way that makes sense. And you'll have more, you know, understanding kind of how to play certain heroes. Like, then, like, take the Initiator one, for example, in Tank, right? Staying airborne lightly heals you. So, like, that's a really interesting one. But those are all the heroes that have, like, an ability that, like, realistically they can be airborne on. Other than, like, Sigma. I mean, Sigma's technically always airborne. But, like, other than, like, a Sigma ult. But, like, Diva goes in the air. Winston can go in the air. Doomfist can be in the air. Wrecking Ball can be in the air. They're the only tank heroes that, like, on a cooldown ability can be in the air. So it makes sense to put them there. And it's just basically like, yeah, these are your dive tanks. Right? I guess Hazard also has he has a leap, so he can be airborne too. So he could be in that category too. But, you know, there's 4 Initiators, 4 Bruisers, and 6 Stalwarts. You could put Hazard in Initiator, I think. It's not like fully how he plays. Reinhardt kind of has to be in Stalwart because of his shield, but, like, he'd be fun at Bruiser too. But those are the sub roles. I think they're interesting. They're cool. I'm pretty happy with those, and it'll be interesting to see kind of how they go. We have the Conquest Meta Event. So Season 1 includes Conquest, a 5-week meta event where players choose to fight for either Overwatch or Talon. Each week, you will complete missions tied to the lore, with rewards going to the faction with the most successful missions. You can switch your allegiance once completing your current week's faction pass, making every choice matter as you seek to claim the following rewards. 75 base loot boxes, 12 epic, 7 legendary loot boxes, 90 voice lines, 31 2D cosmetics. So that makes me think sprays and player icons and maybe name cards. 2 weapon charms, 1 of 2 faction-themed legendary echo skins, and exclusive new rare, epic, and legendary titles, and a secret hidden one. That's cool stuff. Obviously, like, it's a story-based go. They're going to do a lot of story-based stuff. Makes sense. People love their free stuff. I love my free stuff too, so I'm not going to complain. The competitive year update. They say here, Season 1 marks the start of a new competitive year. This means a competitive reset, as well as a new Crimson Wolf competitive weapon. To honor Talon's new leader, we're also giving those who reach Diamond or higher a new Doomfist competitive skin. This skin is sick. All of this stuff is sick as hell. Looks awesome. Competitive titles will now have rarity applied, and top 500 players will earn dynamic titles for their finishes. Titles from Season 20 and Season 1 will be granted when the title update goes live in Season 2. They say here in the 2026 Spotlight video, we said they're going to be live in Season 1, but they need more time. Doing a huge UI refresh. As they say here, a UI/UX refresh is coming in Season 1. After 10 years, the menus felt a bit dated, and our hope is that this helps restore some personality and hero-centric vibes while in-game. This update includes the lobby, play cards, navigation, hero gallery, and social panel. A notification hub will consolidate important updates. Season 1 will feature a new 3D lobby with the selected hero display, and Season 4 will expand this to include all group members. We hope you all love the new look and ease of navigation. Biggest challenge is getting used to the play button at the top of the screen. And be sure to share your thoughts and feedback as we're planning even more updates and improvements in the future. There's some systems updates here. Nothing, I think, like huge. There's a new praise feature, allowing players to use hero VO lines to provide positive feedback. They've been recording these lines for all of our heroes for over 10 years, which is interesting. Additional sound and music control settings in the lobby, which is very fun. As I say here, now when you're playing Overwatch on your second monitor, you will be able to listen in on work meetings without having to turn your Overwatch audio down. Not that anyone on our team has ever done that. They also say here they are reviving the post-match accolades. Unlike the former cards, this new system will use full 3D hero models, and new types of recognition will highlight key moments, including multi-endorsements and heroic endorsements. The Season 2 will have the Switch 2 version of Overwatch 2. Or Overwatch, sorry. And then upgrades to map voting, hero bands, drives, and more. There are some new stadium changes. I am going to say, if you are a big stadium fan and you want to pause and read these, feel free to do that. I don't play that much stadium, so I don't really have that many thoughts on stadium. I would say watch the Spotlight if you want a little more information on that. But stadium stuff here, if that is something that interests you. There you go. Now let's get to some more fun stuff. Collabs and mythics and skins, oh my. From February 10th through the 23rd, Overwatch teams up with Hello Kitty and friends to deliver a feel-good crossover that brings the beloved characters into the middle of Overwatch's stuff for the future. These skins rock. I love these skins. So we're getting Hello Kitty Juno. We are getting Cinema Roll Kiriko, Pom Pom Purin Mercy, My Melody Diva, Kuromi Widowmaker, and Karopi Lucio. Lucio is finally getting a collab skin. He has not, I don't think he has gotten a single collab skin, if memory serves me correctly, the entire time we have had collabs. So, this is great for us Lucio fans. This is also great for us Juno players. We're, of course, getting a Kiriko skin and a Mercy skin. What a surprise. These skins are great. I love these skins. I really like these skins. They're fun. They're exciting. They're interesting. They're cute. And I think when Overwatch does little cute stuff, they're fun. And I like that they're not just like cosplay that we've seen a lot of the other ones. A lot of them, it's like you just get the character and the character looks like themselves. And it's sometimes weird. And I like these because they're more connected to the Overwatch hero, kind of just embracing the style or look of that character and like the vibe of that character, as opposed to like, this is Tracer and she is Deku. And it's like, okay, I guess, you know, this is more like, no, they just get to like wear clothes that kind of look like them. That's why the Le Sserafim collab works as well as it does, because it's a fashion style more than it is Le Sserafim, but it is inspired by Le Sserafim as well. It's kind of a similar vibe, and I like that a lot, but these are more characters as opposed to just like a K-pop group. So I think for people, they will like this. They also have some stuff here about them adding some new faction-themed skins. There's a Roadhog Rainy Day skin, which is adorable. And then Valentine's Day skins. And they are refreshing the loot box pool with all regular shop skins from the last 6 seasons. Folks, we stay winning. And then mythic skins. We're getting 2 mythic skins going forward. The obvious reason why they made the change to 2 mythic skins is because we're getting 5 heroes this season, and they would never catch up if they weren't doing that. The other obvious reason why they're doing that is because we're getting our first hero with 2 mythic skins. What a surprise. It's going to Mercy, the Celestial Guardian skin, which looks awesome. I think it's better than her Talon one, if I'm being so bold as to say it. The Vengeance Mercy, Celestial Guardian Mercy is better. We're also getting a Juno mythic weapon, Star Shooter, which is adorable. And May is getting her first mythic skin mid-season. And then they say future seasons will add mythics for Soldier 76, Iliari, and Malga, who, of course, do not have mythics yet. And then mythic weapon skins for Genji, Hanzo, and Soj. Cool. There is some stuff here on esports. I'm going to not talk about this right now just because I will talk about esports probably later on in another video. But they do talk about it here. There are some esports loot boxes coming in, which is cool. I guess when you watch esports events, you'll get esports loot boxes, which is a change I like. And as I say here, earn your favorite historic Overwatch esports skins. So I guess like Overwatch League skins and like some of the skins from the Vault would be my guess, which is cool. And then, of course, Season 1 begins February 10th. There is so much coming this year that we were beyond thrilled for you to get your hands on, and we hope you are as excited as us. So let's kick things off by jumping in for Onron's Hero Trial starting February 5th. For the Reign of Talon begins Season 1 on February 10th. So there's a lot. There is a lot packed into this. There is so much to talk about, so much to be really, really happy about. One of the things I do want to mention, they didn't bring this up, and I thought they might. They said at the beginning, they're releasing 10 heroes over the course of the year, the first 5 joining the fight when Season 1 launches. The way they talked about it in the showcase makes it sound like they are doing 10 heroes this year because it is the 10-year anniversary of Overwatch. So it makes sense for the 10-year anniversary, 10 heroes, let's celebrate the game. I'm okay with that. I don't love the idea of Overwatch going the Marvel Rivals route of adding a hero every season, adding 10 heroes a year, because my concern with that is you're going to get to a point where you add tons of heroes all the time, and they're very hard to keep up with. And balancing the game when you have so many new heroes constantly is quite difficult. And when it comes to the esports this year, when you're adding a new hero every season, it's going to be a lot of meta changes. It's going to be very hard to keep a consistent thing going. Now, as a player of the game, I love it. I love new heroes. I love the idea of getting tons of new heroes all the time. But I do have concerns about the balance of the game when you're adding that many heroes. This is one of those decisions that I think ultimately could make or break the game. And that might sound crazy and like super hyperbolic to say, like them choosing to add 10 new heroes is potentially going to make or break the game. My concern is they add 10 new heroes this year. That is going to become the expectation for people potentially going forward. If their plan is to do 10 heroes going forward every year, all right, that's going to be a lot of heroes. That is a ton of work, a ton of heroes, and we're going to get probably some really busted and really bad heroes as a result of that, if that's what goes on forever. And I think that they shouldn't do 10 heroes every year going forward. I think a 1-year thing to celebrate this 10-year anniversary, 10 heroes is great and wonderful, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them doing 3 heroes a year and just keeping it to 3 heroes a year. I thought the release cadence was good. It gave you time to release a hero. You'd have a season where they could kind of be busted and a little broken, and maybe everyone's figuring them out, and then you can kind of tweak them a bit mid-season, that first season, try to get them to a good spot, and then you have a full season of them at like a pretty good spot to kind of get to learn them as you then introduce another hero and build the hype cycle over again. I think it was a good release cadence. It's not like Marvel Rivals where you're just pulling from the comics and like pre-existing source material. There is pre-existing source material. Emre is someone who's existed for a long time. Jetpack Cat has existed for a long time. But we're seeing changes in the way that we're getting characters, and they're adding different looks for a lot of these characters. So that is one of the only things I'm a little bit like, that's kind of the only alarm that is raised from me with this Spotlight. But other than that, this is maybe the most excited I have ever been for anything Overwatch has ever announced. The narrative stuff sounds really cool. This animated short was amazing. We knew about it. It was leaked. A lot of this stuff also in the Spotlight was leaked by IGN like an hour before it began. So I saw one tweet that had some of the heroes on it, and I just turned it off. I just closed Twitter and went to the video, just hoping it was fake. It wasn't. Like, I saw Onron, which I knew she was coming anyway. I think Mizuki was in the one that I saw, and Jetpack Cat. So like I saw that they were coming, but I was still like, well, let's see if they're actually real first. And they were. But then of course we knew like the cinematic, it being about like Doomfist getting totally decimated by Vendetta was something we knew. We already seen that. We already knew that was coming, so that wasn't really like a big surprise. But I really like the look of this. I love the way the changes that they're making to the UI and the UX. I'm really excited for this. I really like what we are seeing from Overwatch. I am okay with the dropping of Overwatch 2. I'm sure a lot of people are. I think a lot of people didn't love the thing because they were like, it's just Overwatch. Why am I calling it Overwatch 2? I think a lot of people are going to be happy with that. I think a lot of people are going to be ecstatic that we're just going back to Overwatch. And I'm excited to see what 2026 has for Overwatch, man. Like, there's a couple of big games coming out for me this year that I'm excited about. I can't say a couple. I mean, the new Fire Emblem game is probably coming out this year, and I love me some Fire Emblem. And like that's really exciting and really fun for me. I also just started school again, so that'll be fun to try to find time to like play Overwatch and be in school again and work. But I'm excited. I'm really happy with what we're getting. I'm really excited with everything they announced, and I am really, really excited to hear some of your thoughts as well on what they announced. Because to me, like, this is such a great Spotlight with so many awesome things announced. I'm stoked for what is coming this year, and I thought 2025 was a great year for Overwatch. I loved what they did last year. There were things they did that I thought I wouldn't like that I loved, like perks and map voting. So I'm excited for this. So let me know your thoughts on everything they talked about in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video and want more like it in the future, consider liking and subscribing, as your feedback is always greatly appreciated. But with that, I hope you're all staying safe and staying healthy. And until next time, bye-bye.